Greetings, Slayer? Yeah, new Slayer song today, ladies and gents, Cover Killer Nation, Slayer fans, and haters alike. Implode, brand new song from Slayer, just released today as a teaser for the upcoming album, which is slated to come out in early 2015. They are now with Nuclear Blast Records, which is the second announcement that they made today. So basically, the foundation of the new Slayer album is finally starting to come together, and this is something that's been they've been working on since 2011, since the firing of Dave Lombardo, since before the death of Jeff Hanneman. So this has been happening for quite some time, and with good reason. The last time we had a new Slayer album was 2009, and I reviewed that on a channel that no longer exists. That's how long it's been, and I've been doing this for a long time. So let's talk about this song, this brand new track. This is one that you kind of have to listen to a couple times. I'm going to just start it off right with that, because the very first run-through of this song, I was not very impressed whatsoever. I really wasn't, and it's not any hatred towards Slayer, it's not any hatred toward really much of anything. It's just the fact that it seemed like a very mediocre, run-of-the-mill, kind of an average Slayer song from the very first playthrough. It's, a tone that we have all recognized throughout our metal journeys. These lyrics are, not very inspired, but at the same time not absolutely god-awful. This is certainly not the Slayer that wrote such classic lyrics in the 1980s, and that's something that could easily be attributed to age and the fact that after doing something like this for 30 years, you're not always going to be able to come up with amazing lyrics. I mean, that's just kind of how the way things go is, are, was, or blah. The second run through of the song, though, it's started to take a little bit of a turn for me. I started to enjoy it a little bit more for what it kind of was, and I think the reason why is because, musically speaking, this is something that has a lot of tinted after effects of some of the classic Slayer age, and maybe even involving and injecting a little bit of the Christ Illusion era in there, which a lot of people are very big fans of. The aggressiveness is something that comes after a short introductory riff that kind of just sets up and builds everything, and that build point is certainly a Slayer tradition, but it's something that also really does give this this drastic turn into the more aggressive, the more thrashy, more Slayer-esque riffing and lyricism a lot more punch. Playthroughs number 3 and 4 didn't exactly enhance that all of that much. However, what it did do was make me recognize that this is just going to be considered to me to be pretty average. It's just going to be considered to be an okay song. It's nice to see them release something after all that has really happened. For other bands, that may have been enough for them to give it up, but instead Slayer has opted to press on. There's just a lot that the remainder of the album is really going to have to impress a whole hell of a lot in order for me to really feel it to be a strong return to form, which World Painted Blood kind of was in many ways, in many different ways than what you would expect. It wasn't the strong return to form to the 1980s and early 90s material that so many people thirst for, but instead it had a little bit of a flair of creativity to it. It had a little bit of a flair of something new to it. This track really feels like they're trying to kind of channel some of that old energy, some of that elder energy, and try to give it sort of a modern vibe to it, and they're doing their best with what they can, and they're doing the best with, what they really have in front of them, and it's just something that comes off as average these days. There's a number of bands that are able to kind of take on this idea and really perform it with a lot more vigor, I guess, and with a little bit more of a creative edge. Warbringer is a good example, and you could even go even further into some of that new wave of American thrash realm and really sense and showcase a lot of that youthful energy and ambition coming out. By saying that Slayer's kind of turning soft because of age, maybe I am making that assumption, but in reality, as far as a song is concerned, and as far as how you should feel about the upcoming album is concerned, if you're a Slayer fan, you're going to probably like this. You may not like it as much as you've liked some of the previous material. You may not exactly think very strongly about what the album is going to be like. You might think that it's just going to end up being another, subpar album, but it's at least new material. This is a song, I think, that what you should take from it is that they've put out some new material. The lyricism is not the greatest, but it's about the end of the world, which is probably one of the most generic topics out there any longer. But this is also just the first precursor to what is going to be a wealth of new material that we're going to get on the new album, which has the potential to mean that this is just a weak track off of the album, and meanwhile there are others that are yet to be recorded that will blow you away. I'm going to leave a link in the description box, that way you guys can check out the song. I want to know what you guys think about this. I know that this is pretty sudden and big news, but it's a quick listen, and I do encourage you to listen to it multiple times before passing judgment. So, what did you guys think about Implode from Slayer off their forthcoming album? And what do you guys think about the way in which Slayer has kind of been as a band over the course of the past 5 years, where we've basically not heard anything new from them, and really most of the news that we've gotten has ended up being sadly tragic? Let me know. I'll talk to you guys next time.